The ratings are in for Saturday's edition of AEW Collision on TNT, as well as AEW's latest presentation of Battle of the Belts that aired following Collision on the very same network. Details on how long AEW has planned the current MJF and Will Ospreay feud. TNA wrestling star Joe Hendry is set to compete once again on NXT next week during the Great American Bash. Roxanne Perez retains her NXT Women's Championship, and NXT Tag Team title match is set for next week's NXT Great American Bash Week 2, featuring a TNA wrestling star. The Women's Tag Team titles were retained last night during the Great American Bash. Skye Blue successfully undergoes surgery, and Goldberg reveals whether he's retired or not. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about the ratings for Saturday's edition of AEW Collision on TNT. Now, it was a strong July 20 for AEW Collision, as the show's first event out of the Arlington Esports Stadium drew some of the best numbers that Collision have seen all year. Unfortunately, it also seemed like the best number Collision would see for quite some time, as this past Saturday show faced competition from the Olympic Games, which had already left a dent in the SmackDown ratings the night before. In the end, the Olympics did have the expected negative effect, WrestleNomics reporting that Collision drew 382,000 total viewers and a 0.12 in the 18 to 49. Both numbers, of course, were down from last week, with total viewership falling 19% from 472,000, while the key demographic was down 20% from a 0.15. The drops were less drastic compared to the 4-week average, with total viewership down 2% from 390,000, while the 18 to 49 showed no change. As you can see, when it comes to the quarter-hour ratings, these come courtesy of WrestleNomics. Shout out to them, and be sure to subscribe to their Patreon service. It kind of followed the latest trend of the last 90 days, really. The final match, the Pac versus Leo Rush, really kind of actually dropped off from the last 90 days that we have seen previously. The lead-in maybe wasn't as strong. Certainly the dip in the second quarter hour was significantly below in terms of total viewership, but interestingly kind of in line with what we've seen in terms of the 18 to 49 ratings. Now, of course, Collision was followed by Battle of the Belts 11 this past weekend, and AEW Battle of the Belts 11, which aired after AEW Collision, also had a rough night, drawing 308,000 viewers and a 0.09 in the 18 to 49. Both numbers were down from Battle of the Belts 10 back in April, which drew 422,000 and a 0.11. with the total viewership number representing the lowest in Battle of the Belts history. And a small bit of good news, the special maintained a decent chunk of Collision's audience and saw gains in the final segment, which you can actually see right here in the quarter-hour ratings, once again, courtesy of WrestleNomics. There was some gains in the final segment where Dustin Rhodes and the Von Erichs captured the Ring of Honor 6-man Tag Team Championship. So, again, some might be looking at that as some positive news, but certainly not positive news when it comes to the lowest ever total viewership in the show's history. What are your thoughts when it comes to the numbers for both AEW Collision and Battle of the Belts? Is it surprising given the sports competition? Let me know your thoughts or reaction to it in the comment section below. Now, MJF versus Will Ospreay, of course, they're set to face off for the AEW American/International Championship at AEW All In at Wembley Stadium next month. And the MJF and Will Ospreay feud has another little wrinkle to it. On the July 24 episode of AEW Dynamite, the AEW American Championship was debuted by MJF, rechristened from the International Championship. Now, the introduction of the title highlighted how far ahead MJF and Ospreay was planned for Wembley, as the challenge was officially made for All In. Fightful Select reported earlier this month that after winning the international title, Ospreay suggested putting over Swerve Strickland at Forbidden Door to eliminate the talking point of them having a match at All In. Part of this was because Ospreay's All In creative had been planned for months prior to that, which was this match against MJF. Now, Fightful say they aren't sure if the full 1-hour match was planned along the way, as Fightful have been told there was some discussion as to whether or not to do it in the weeks leading up to the match. However, long before MJF's AEW return, there were creative plans for Ospreay and MJF to carry a feud throughout the summer, all the way to AEW All In, which is what we're seeing right now. Now, those that Fightful have spoken to believe that the American Championship was a temporary move to get more heat on MJF ahead of All In at Wembley. Fightful have been told that the goal for the International Championship is to continue to elevate it and make it feel like a big-time deal. So what are your thoughts when it comes to how far in advance this feud has been planned for? What are your thoughts when it comes to the International Championship? What are your thoughts when it comes to this feud in general? Do you think it's working? Do you think it's not working? Let me know your reaction to that too. Now, Joe Hendry back on NXT television. He's been a bit of a staple recently, hasn't he? And former TNA Digital Media Champion Joe Hendry's first concert in WWE NXT was rudely interrupted by Gallus on Tuesday. After performing a pointed song about Gallus, the former NXT UK Tag Team Champions attacked Hendry, cracking one of his guitars over his back and posing over his injured body. Now, Hendry didn't take the attack lying down, announcing later in the night that he will be facing Gallus leader Joe Coffey in a match on next week's edition of the show, which of course will be night 2 of the NXT Great American Bash. Hendry has been an NXT mainstay as of late, despite being under contract with TNA Wrestling, becoming one of the faces of the NXT and TNA cooperation alongside Wesley's rascal teammates Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel, who we'll talk about in just a second. Now, TNA isn't the only company WWE has been cooperating with, as WWE superstars recently competed at Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, and NXT's Josh Briggs and Tavern Heights are set to compete at the upcoming N1 Victory Tournament in Pro Wrestling Noah. Now, Roxanne Perez, she is still the NXT Women's Champion. For the third time in her career, Thea Hale challenged for the NXT Women's Championship on NXT television. Unfortunately for Hale, the third time was indeed not the charm. On night 1 of the 2024 NXT Great American Bash, Roxanne Perez defending her NXT Women's Championship against Hale in the show's main event. In honor of the special occasion, Hale was accompanied by a quartet of Chase U members, namely Andre Chase, Duke Hudson, Ridge Holland, and Riley Osborne. Despite the added support in Hale's corner, Perez seemed unfazed. In the match's closing moments, Perez trapped Hale inside the crossface submission, which Hale almost escaped via a rope break. Rather than letting Hale grab a hold of the ring ropes though, Perez dragged her back to the center of the mat, setting the stage for her to then nail Hale with pop rocks for the victory. With this aforementioned victory, Perez marks her 6th successful television title defense in her second reign with the NXT Women's Championship. Perez's current title reign began with a victory over Lyra Valkyria at the 2024 NXT Stand and Deliver Premium Live event. Since then, the Prodigy has defeated the likes of Lola Vice, Tatum Paxley, Valkyria again, and TNA Knockouts World Champion Jordan Grace, as well as main roster stars Chelsea Green and Natalia. Now, speaking of tag team titles, on the men's side of things, the men's NXT Tag Team Championships are going to be on the line next week. Earlier this month, the trio of Wesley, Trey Miguel, and Zachary Wentz were reunited under the banner of WWE NXT as part of the ongoing WWE TNA partnership. Since then, the three, together known as the Rascals, have racked up a quartet of victories, the latest of which saw Wentz pin one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions Axiom. As such, the Rascals have now raised interest in challenging for the NXT Tag Team Championships. On last night's episode of WWE NXT, the Rascals met in the Treehouse, with Wentz voicing their desire to defend the NXT Tag Team Championships across both NXT and TNA Wrestling. With that in mind, Lee issued a text to Axiom outlining the Rascals' idea of vying for the tag titles, which are co-held by him and Nathan Frazer. The idea was later drafted up into an official match contract by NXT General Manager Ava, which Axiom happily signed. Frazer, on the other hand, was unaware of the proposed title match. Nevertheless, Frazer and Axiom are now slated to defend the NXT Tag Team Championships against Wentz and Lee on next week's episode of NXT, which simultaneously serves as night 2 of the NXT Great American Bash special. Lee and Wentz, known as MSK in tandem, head into this bout with 2 previous NXT Tag Team title reigns under their belts. Their second run spanned a mere 6 days, as Wentz was abruptly released by WWE in April of 2022. The following year, Wentz returned to TNA Wrestling, rekindling his partnership with Trey Miguel in the process. Now, speaking of tag team titles, the Women's Tag Team Championships were on the line last night. The Unholy Union retained their gold in the Women's Tag Team titles on the NXT Great American Bash special. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn opened the first week of WWE NXT Great American Bash. They defended their titles against Metaphors, Jakara Jackson, and Lash Legend. The challengers did put up a good fight, but it wasn't enough because Dawn was able to take out Legend with an apron Meteora. Then the Scottish duo hit Jackson with their double team finisher to get the victory. Next, the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions will face former champions Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill on the August 2nd episode of Friday Night SmackDown. Now, a bit of an injury update when it comes to Skye Blue. AEW and Ring of Honor's residency at Arlington, Texas's Esports Stadium has so far been a success, with one notable exception: an injury to Skye Blue. The AEW star was wrestling Hikaru Shida last Saturday when a cross-body to the floor saw Shida land on Blue's right leg, leading to the match being stopped. Days later, Blue's boyfriend, AEW's Kyle Fletcher, posted a photo of Blue back home sporting a cast on her right foot, while reports confirmed Blue had suffered a broken ankle, though the severity of the break was unknown. Alas, it appears the injury was severe enough that Blue will be forced to go under the knife. Taken to X yet again on Tuesday morning, Fletcher posted a photo of Blue sitting on a bench outside a hospital. Fletcher asked fans to send their prayers and cat toys. For her part, Blue seemed to be in good spirits, making a funny face for the photo while holding an energy drink. Now, neither Fletcher and Blue have commented on the matter since then, leaving it uncertain whether Blue's surgery was scheduled for today, tomorrow, or at some point, or if it will take place at a later date. No timetable has emerged regarding how soon Blue could return to action following the surgery. The recovery time from a broken ankle can vary from up to several months to as long as a year, depending on complications. If we get any more details on that in the future, we'll of course let you know. And finally, Goldberg. Is he retired or not? Well, after 2 years since his last match, WWE Hall of Famer Goldberg has revealed whether he considers himself retired or not. At Elimination Chamber 2022, Roman Reigns defeated Goldberg to retain the WWE Universal Championship. After that match, the WWE Hall of Famer's contract with the company expired, with many fans believing it marked the end of his career. In a new interview on Insight with Chris Van Vliet, Goldberg revealed whether he considers himself retired or not. He said, quote, "You know, when you've been a wrestler at some point in your life, I don't think you're retired until you're dead. But I mean, I don't know. I was kind of forced into retirement a little bit. I don't like to think I'm retired in any respect, whether it's from working or wrestling or anything else." So we'll have to wait and see, indeed, what Goldberg has to say about his future. But there you go, guys. The latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.